All right, welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. If you are in the market for a new or pre-owned car, make sure you check out my guy Matt Bowers at one of his many dealerships. He's got the new pre-owned dealership right up there on Vets, right downstairs from our studio. Stop by there and get yourself a new pre-owned car. They'll get you the best prices, best customer care, the best car buying experience that you can have at one of his many locations all throughout the Gulf Coast region. Make sure you check out Matt for your next car. All right, what do we got today?
We have our first topic presented by Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Rookie minicamp is this weekend. It's our first chance to see the new look Saints, to see the rookies, of course, come in, but also to see Kellen Moore and his staff. So let's go with the new quarterback, the hot ticket in town, Tyler Shough, someone who, as you and Mike discussed on Monday, is someone doing pretty much everything right so far. What do you expect to see from him in that short window of time to just get a taste of what he can do, and kind of what are the expectations?
I don't think we'll see like a lot, as far as is making a judgment or a proclamation or anything like that. Rookie camp's supposed to be messy anyhow, like it's their very first time being in the system, speaking the language and all that stuff. But really, I just want to see how him in particular. I want to see how he carries himself. I want to
Yeah.
see what he looks like on the field, how he communicates. Are we hearing him? Does he seem confident at the line of scrimmage? Any of that stuff that we're able to see. I want to see the arm in person. I want to see how he moves in person. I want to see how he carries his pads in person. Just all that stuff. And obviously, when you're talking about the quarterback, I think the value of that stuff and the attention paid to it is significantly heightened. And I just want to see that first impression. I want to look at someone and feel like he can be somebody that can lead a team. And I imagine he will be. I expect him to feel like a very mature and polished player. I mean, he's 25 years old. He's not 21. I mean, he's been around a lot of football,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably one of the things that's going to stand out about him is just kind of how he conducts himself. And I think we've seen that with how he's brought himself into this city. I think there's a maturity to how he's arrived here. I think there's maturity in his thought process. I think there's maturity in how he's decided to interact with the community and all that stuff. And I think that that's smart. And within that maturity, I see some leadership qualities. But we've never seen him. We've never laid eyes
Yeah.
on him in person. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to see. But like we said on the last one, the way he's come in here, I mean, I think it's been very smart. I think it's very calculated, and those are two words you want associated with your quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm going to echo some of those same sentiments in terms of I want to see the eye test. I want to see just how he looks in the cherry red jersey. See how kind of he conducts himself and carries himself on the field. I want to see how he calls a huddle, even though they probably won't do all of that in front of us. I want to see just when they're going to QB drills, just how he walks over there. What's the confidence level and everything like that. And just like last year with Rattler, something new and seeing a new quarterback in the system just showcase their talents. That's really what I'm looking to see too. Kind of what kind of early rapport can he get with some of the receivers? What kind of early rapport can he get with some of the running backs and players like that? I remember last year, that Dallin Holker and Spencer Rattler connection was something that stood out kind of early. It didn't materialize into anything during the season, but it's just that was a first chance to see how quickly people can connect together. So I'm very excited to see that.
Yeah. As far as some of the other guys, it's just it's all the same thing pretty much. It's just getting to know them, getting to talk to them,
Yeah.
see what they're like is people who feels like they're kind of up to speed early. None of it ultimately ends up meaning anything in the long run. But yeah, a good start I think means a lot, especially when it comes to the quarterback. And if it just looks organized, I mean, I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle. I don't know how much of the practice we'll actually be able to watch. It's a new staff, it's a new process. There were some
Yeah.
years with Sean Payton where it was open, some years it wasn't, some years with DA. Like it changes from staff to staff and all that. So I don't know if we'll see a whole entire practice or not. I have no idea what to expect out here. Even from that, it will be the first look at the Kellen Moore coaching
Mhm.
staff and all that stuff. Again, I don't know what we're going to get out of it, but it is a first look, and you do want to see how it's organized and how they're kind of putting things together and what a practice looks like and what the pace is and all that stuff. We'll get a better look at that, I think, in OTAs and
Yeah.
minicamp when we're out there for definitely a whole practice and whole teams out there. But that's going to be weird too. Last year, like Kubiak coming in, this changeover in practice was like a jarring shift from kind of what we were used to seeing over
Facts.
and over and over for the better part of 20 years with Sean and Carmichael and similar defenses and all that. This is going to be all different. I mean, you get the Staley defense doing its own thing. You get the Kellen Moore offense doing a new thing. The pace of practice, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it's going to be brand new. That's going to be very, very different.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, you kind of hinted at it just looking at all the other players out there. These are people that we've watched on tape. Some of them over the last 2 weeks after the draft. Some of them like Shuck and others over the last 3 months. So just to be able to see them in person and to be able to see kind of how they conduct themselves and carry themselves is going to be important. But just if you had to pinpoint one other player that you want to just put your eyes on, I mean, for me, it's going to be Devin Neal. Who is it for you?
Yeah, the UCLA tight end is someone that I kind of want to get a look at just because it could be important, and there's a lack of uh, depth there at
Yeah.
that position. I think I seen that he was like the number 2 tight end in that class coming in, and again that means nothing once you're actually out there. But he was number 2 in that class behind Bowers, I think, coming in. So he was highly regarded at one point. Talking about a late round pick though, so I'm not expecting a ton from him, but he's somebody I want to get a look at. The Delaware running back is somebody that I think kind of has an interesting pedigree. He's someone I want to get a look at.
Yeah.
The UDFA guy. There's a handful of them. I want to see them all. I mean, look, we kind of like talk past Banks. I know it's
Yeah.
a tackle and
Yeah.
it isn't super exciting and everything, but I kind of want to see how he looks, carries himself, all that stuff too. I think he's really really important to this team, and we've all kind of looked past him to the quarterback at this point. But yeah, he's somebody I definitely want to get a look at too.
I think even keying in on Banks, it's going to get really exciting come OTAs once you start seeing the configuration of the line with the other veterans on the field in practice. I think that that's going to be just the most exciting thing because it seems, it kind of seems like we're undercutting it right now and, just mainly talking about the quarterback. But with him in there, with the other starters, just seeing if he's at guard, if he's at tackle, which side is he on, all of that, that's going to ramp it up. But also, Vernon Broughton, just to see what
Yeah.
those, just to see how he looks in person. We saw the film. If you were in there on the stream, that's exclusive to members only. So make sure you use code NOF for 20% off your first purchase, your first payment. Just to see that in real life, see what that looks like against a scout team or a pad, just to see what that looks like in real life, that get off, and also to see the other coaches, see if it's going to be like they were in college or have they transitioned into another way of teaching now that they're in the NFL. Just it's a lot of exciting stuff going around. We're going to hit a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number 1 grocery store.
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chaubert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chaubert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chaubert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chaubert. That's 504-326-6526. Chaubert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for our next topic presented by Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Nick, we talked about it a little bit in our first two segments, but let's just continue to talk about Kellen Moore. This is the first time we're going to be able to see him out there as the general of the team, as the person out there running the show. Kind of what do you expect to see from him? I know it's a small taste in rookie minicamp, but what are you expecting?
I don't know. Honestly, I've never seen him at a practice, so it's going to be a brand new experience. The one thing I'd like, the one thing I'd like to see is, I'd like to see Kellen Moore yell at somebody just to see what it looks like. It sounds like. I don't know what that'll look like. We went up to the LSU coaches clinic, and obviously we aren't in on meetings or anything like that, but seeing him up on that stage and how he can talk about football and break things down, and he's not a loud personality, and I don't think we'll ever really see that on the field, but I think in that setting, you got to see what he's like when he's leading the room. And I think just like his preparedness and the knowledge of what he was talking about created a level of leadership, just off the rip. Like just seeing him there was different than seeing him at a press conference. Like, you kind of saw like the shoulders come up a little bit, he kind of bowed up a little bit in that type of situation, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, I think just seeing him out on the field, seeing him command is going to be a little bit different. We were at the Super Bowl and kind of knew that he was going to be the coach then. And I was watching him throughout that. And even there, again, not the most, he's not Dan Campbell. But you saw him yelling at officials and getting animated on the sideline. So I would just like to see a little bit of that at practice, but I don't think it'll ever be over the top or anything like that. I think that would be unnatural to him. I don't think that's who he is. So I expect him to operate within kind of the observed persona a little bit, but I do expect it to be heightened in some areas. Again, I don't know what we're going to see at rookie camp because it's kind of orientation a little bit, and no one's going crazy at orientation, but I am eager to start this process, and this is the first step of it. I am extremely eager to see the process of just watching him at practice, and I think that's going to be fascinating.
It may be too early to peg who this person is, but you were talking about during the hiring process when they were filling out the staff that a head buster was needed. So who do you peg early as the head buster?
I don't know. I mean, that's what we're going to find out overall. Maybe it's Kellen Moore. Maybe it's Brandon Staley. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to find out who that is, kind of see who it is and how it plays out. And yeah, I don't know. We're going to find out of practice.
Yeah, but just going back to, you talked about us going up there to the coaches clinic and just getting some insight on the staff. Doug Nussmeier was up there. He was up there showcasing not just his passion for offenses in the run game and the pass game, but the small intricacies that go with all of that. Fumbling technique, how to continue to keep the ball and ball security and stuff like that. So I'm kind of interested to see how that's implemented with this team, because he was able to show a lot of examples from Saquon Barkley all the way down to the linemen when he was in Philly. But I want to see how that looks in New Orleans with all of these guys.
No doubt about it. Yeah, watching Nussmeier at that coaching clinic, the attention to detail on everything was just, that's what stood out. I mean, that kind of seems to be really what they're about. They were talking about the tush push and how often they practiced it and how they went through the snaps every single day. And he was saying that he thinks the reason that play worked for them instead of other people is because of that process, that willingness to spend time on it, because it isn't something you can just line up and do. You kind of got to practice it every single day. And then he went through those examples and was showing how it correlated to all kinds of different things, to a offensive lineman's stance, to you mentioned it, fumbling, a lot of different things. So I do think that attention to detail is something that is going to show up all the time. One of me and Mike's longest running arguments is always about what is a coach's responsibility and what's not. That little example to Nussmeier on that stuff kind of showed me that it really, a lot of it is coaching. Most of it is coaching. Almost every mistake can go back to coaching. Yes, a player should know not to fumble a ball, but if you are practicing ball security, what did he say? It was every Wednesday was ball security day, or every Thursday, whatever it was.
Yeah.
If you do that every single week and you spend time on it every single week, well, then it's not just the player's responsibility. You've made the responsibility universal across the board. And I think that is something that's going to show up here. Yeah, a player knows not to fumble, but if you make them go through it every single week, there's no
Yeah.
room to get away with it at that
Yeah.
point. So if the coach isn't doing that, I think it's on the coach. And that Nussmeier example kind of clarified it for me. So yeah, I'm interested to see it. I'm interested to see how much time they spend on quote unquote boring stuff. When we get out there, we just want to see the team portions of it. But if a lot of times you'll see some of these things and it looks half-hearted too. You're kind of going through it and it's like feels like people going through the motions. All right, like we gotta whack at the ball. If you're really doing it and you're really coaching it the right way, I think there's a lot of value in it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It can be engaging because even you look at some of the examples that he was showing during that presentation, and it was not just the starting linemen, but guys who probably won't see the field, just preparing for that moment. And then he showed an example where during the game, I think it was the NFC Championship game, a critical game
Yes.
that came through. So I think getting that as muscle memory just for everyone across the board is critical, crucial, and important. Also on the list of things I'm interested to see in terms of the coaching staff is he a satellite? Does he go? Not he and Kellen Moore. Is he a satellite? Does he go kind of around every position group and try to put his input in everything, or does he let his guys do his thing and he's just over the entire thing, just looking down? Or is he hands on with the running backs and then goes over to the quarterbacks? This is his position, so he's probably going to be very hands on with that. But how deep are his hands into the cogs and the systems that he's creating?
Yeah, I'm interested to see that. And yeah, just one last point on the Nussmeier thing. I think my favorite example on there was he was showing how they would practice consistently offensive linemen recovering a fumble, and he was like, they hate doing this. They hated it. And then it's like, well, like he shows the drill that they were doing going over it. And then he goes to a game and can show where it correlated there. So
Yeah.
the thing is that he was showing us like all this stuff he did, and he's like, it might seem stupid, it might seem like a waste of time, but it showed up here, and here. It showed up here, and here. It showed up here, and here. So I'm going to be interested to see how that kind of stuff plays out.
Yeah, and then going on the defensive side, I want to see Stuntsman. He has a big social media kind of pop out with his captions and stuff like that. His personality when he had his introductory press conference kind of shine through. So I kind of want to see how he is out there, what he looks like. Is he flying around? Is he still wearing that old school like linebacker collar? Because like I know uniform and stuff doesn't really make any difference on the field, but that just piece and accessory is it's indicative of a crash dummy, somebody who's going to go out there, fly around. I know they're not doing any serious hitting in rookie minicamp, but somebody who isn't afraid to make contact.
Yeah, I was talking to a scout today though, and with another more he's higher up than a scout, but a guy with another team. We were kind of just talking about like players and all this stuff, and these camps coming up. And one of the points he made, and it's a really excellent point. He was just saying like we don't want players that look like they're getting dressed to get photographed at practice, and I think there are a lot of those in the league, and it's kind of I think it's a good point. I don't know anyone that's ever really gotten dressed up to go on a serious grind. Like if you're going to do serious work, you dress to work. So I mean, that stuff can't matter. I think it's reflective of mentality. Like who's there to really ball. Mike Thomas wore the old school helmet, didn't have any
Chili Bowl, man.
didn't have
I
nothing
got
on.
so sick of that.
But he's just out there he's just there to ball and kill people. And you know what? Like there's the look good, play good, whatever theory. But like if you just play good, you look good. So, just who's here to work? Who's here to grind? Like I want to see that.
I hear you, man. We might have a uniform update coming down the pipeline. There were some rumors going around on Twitter yesterday, but nothing confirmed yet. I just wanted to update some people on that. That's my little thing about the uniforms with the team. But we're going to hit another break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
If you're hungry and just want something that actually delivers on flavor, this is it. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just dropped some new menu items, and they're legit. The Philly cheesesteak po' boy is loaded up right, and the Philly pasta brings the same flavor, but in a new way. And don't skip the fried green tomatoes. Crispy, and that crawfish sauce is no joke. Open every day, delivering late. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back for more NewOrleans.Football. It is now time for our question of the day presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Today's question comes from Paul. Kristen Paul asks, who has the best chance to start at defensive line for week 1?
I mean, I think it's obviously Chase Young, right?
Yeah.
Is going to be out there. I think Granderson will be the other guy. You go to the inside. It's a good question. Going to the inside, they brought in the big man, so I got to think he's going to be starting there. And the 3-tech spots, I think up for grabs. What I'm talking about. There's multiple alignments here though too. Yeah. So, but I mean, I think in the 3-4 look, or I'm sorry, the 4-man front look, which will primarily be in, I would have to guess the other 3-tech spots probably, or the 3-tech spot is probably Brzee. So yeah. Okay. And Godchow at the nose. So I would expect those guys to get the most snaps week 1 out of that type of alignment. Looking at it the other way, I don't know. I don't know who they see as their 3-4 ends. In the base package. Again, I think it's Godchow at the nose. Maybe Brzee's at one of them, and the other one's up for grabs. I don't know. Right. I don't know who they're going to try to put on those ends.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like who has the speed, but also the size to make all of that happen at that other edge. And also, I'm thinking, you saw Cam Jordan's resurgence at the end of the season under Brian Young. What does that even look like now in this new front?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Got to really kind of see how they want to utilize him. Obviously, I think he showed that there's gas in that tank. That battery's not dead. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it comes together. I think he's just got to show that he can be effective within it, and I think it is going to be beneficial to him that he's going to show up and probably be competing for the position that he's going to play instead of trying to make a position switch or go inside or whatever. I think they're probably going to use him at that spot. Maybe he's one of them. I don't know who they see is those 3-4 ends though, and I don't know who they see as the stand-up pass. I'm guessing it'd probably be Chase Young and Grando in those spots. Cam's probably at one of those spots. I don't think he'd be a 3-4 end. So I don't know. Is it? I mean, Saunders, that doesn't feel like it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who it would be. Is it Broughton? Like, I don't know who they're going to try to get at that other spot. I don't know.
Right. I mean, like you just don't know. You see the pieces that they bought back in Saunders and in Shepard, and then you also
maybe it's Shep. Maybe it's Shep. I think it might be Shep. I'll put my money on Shep.
You putting your money on Shep?
First down base defense. Yeah, I got money on Shep being out there at one of the men's spots. I think
week 1, sure. Week 5. I don't know, because you got to go through the trials and see how that works and what that looks like. And, if it's battle tested, see what happens in there. Even with those other players, fast forwarding a couple weeks now to OTAs, seeing what they look like, seeing who put on size, seeing who got faster, seeing who got more, power ability worked on, shoring up some of those things and closing up some of the holes that they had in their game or in their size to tailor to fit this Brandon Staley defense and what he wants to see. Those are things that I'm curious about because it's just a whole lot of I don't know. They still have Christian Boyd. You got to see what he still has in the tank. Isaiah Foskey, someone who's still on a roster. I mean, I would like to see something happen. Now that's on him to make it happen, but I would like to see something happen.
Yeah, and just for people that aren't totally familiar with the differences between these things. So it's different when we're talking about an end and a 3-4 like that. Those are kind of different than what you would think of in a 4-man front. The 4-man front, a lot of times you'll see somebody line up, to the outside shoulder of the tackle or even all the way over basically where the tight end is. Yeah. Whereas in this one, you're more lined up typically in a traditional 3-4 front, you can obviously have different types of alignments, and we've seen the Saints use different types of alignments. But in the most basic sense, a lot of times you're lined up is like what they would call a 5 tech, which puts you right over the tackle. And in the old school 3-4, it would be a 2-gap scheme. So like you'd be responsible for kind of like staying put and reading and then kind of going where you need to go in either one gap or the other. The Staley defense uses more of a gap and a half where it's like you have your primary responsibility and you can shut off to something else. So it's not as limiting for those guys up front. In the 2-gap scheme, it's kind of more limiting, and really your responsibility a lot of times is just kind of to eat things up. Like in the old school 3-4 front, it's kind of just eat things up in the front so that your linebackers can flow. In the Staley front, in the Fangio front, it's a little bit more attacking, but it kind of marries the two. It kind of exists in between the two different principles of one gapping, which is really kind of what you have seen the Saints do with that 4-man front, versus the 2-man, the 2 gapping where, so it kind of exists in the middle where you can attack, but like you're also responsible for kind of looking over your shoulder a little bit for just that little bit of other responsibility. And the idea is that you're always going to have something covered, and there aren't going to be those easy cutback lanes for like a running back or whoever. So nothing should ever be left uncovered, but you have the ability to kind of go in that gap and a half scheme. So it exists somewhere in between the two, but the body types are different for what you would want in these areas. So obviously in the Saints 4-man front, Nate Shepard would never ever be able to be considered like an end or an edge player. Like he's playing more of the inside 3 tech, which kind of puts you on the guard. Whereas in this, like you might play like a 4-eye or 4 or a 5 tech, which kind of just moves you over a little bit. So I mean, it's just different responsibilities.
Yeah. What do you think gives Shep the edge this early?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing darts here. But he just kind of feels like he has a little bit more of that length, size, speed, power, weight combination to do it. But seeing it in practice and kind of talking about it in theory, I mean, it's a little bit hard because like none of it's clean. None of it's not your, it's not clean. If it's just you're trying to make something kind of work out of some other different pieces. And we just really haven't been able to envision them in those spots. And, the Saints have done a lot of three-man front stuff, but a lot of times they were doing it to create confusion on pass rushing downs. And it wasn't really down one, Saquon's going to run the ball, get out here to run stuff. So I think that changes the math significantly. Saints were doing it a lot of times on 3rd downs just so that they could disguise where that fourth pass rusher was coming from. So they'd put 3 on the line and kind of like muddy up that picture in the front, get a lot of guys there, kind of have the linebackers standing on the line. The edges kind of standing on the line. Sometimes the edge would drop and DeMario would go. Sometimes DeMario would drop and the edge would go. Sometimes the safety would go and you get, somebody dropping into, a zone blitz, so to speak. So Cam dropping back there, trying to make a play on a ball in coverage, maybe cut off the crosser that a lot of times the safety would do there. So like you have just somebody else filling it. So like the quarterback's trying to read the picture a little bit and it's not opening up, obviously like right away at it. So the Saints would do that to kind of create that, but it was still within the principles of a normal like type of front. It wasn't the 3-man front that you'd see on a first down where you're worried about the gap and a half and how you're going to hit the cutback lanes and all that. That was really more about pass rushing.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's just so exciting just to see all this new stuff. I know the team during the season may not have the record that, the fans want, but there's so many small pockets of hope inside of the team, just of new stuff, new exciting stuff to see happen from the offense to the defense, specifically defensive line, and then at quarterback. Those are exciting. So I just I'm ready, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to see it.
Me too.
I'm ready to see it. Just quickly before we get out of here, you wrote something up on Keenan Allen yesterday. Is there any update on the receiver? We saw George Pickens move in a trade earlier today from Pittsburgh to Dallas. Anything could happen at receiver?
Nothing ever seems to really work out to the way the Cowboys want it to, because like they never really like win. They've been good obviously multiple times, but like it's never ultimately paid off. But they make all the moves everybody wants their team to make. Like they just make all the fun moves. Yeah, nothing really on Keenan Allen. The thing I wrote was just really more about like the theory of football, and there's just like a prevalent thought process all the time about like this guy's a slot receiver, this guy's this guy's that. I mean, like it's not 2007 anymore. Keenan Allen playing in the slot the last couple of years, last 4 or 5 years, primarily, well, not even primarily. It's more about like a 50% split. That does not make him a slot receiver, so to speak. Like he's had 7,000 yards in his career on the outside, like 4,000 on the inside. He's 6'2". He's a possession receiver. He can line up outside. Like it's like Cooper Kupp plays a lot of his snaps in the slot for the Rams. He's not a slot receiver though. To me, he's not somebody that I say this guy can only play in the slot because he's played a lot of his snaps in the slot. Again, going back to like 2007 when Wes Welker was coming in the league, you could put a 5'8", 5'7" guy in the slot and he would be quick and he would dominate because he was able to get on these matchups with linebackers and like hulking strong safeties who didn't know how to cover.
Yeah.
And you just beat them on a little whip route or something. Like you aren't even trying to beat them in a foot race because those guys are going to probably ultimately end up being like faster. And if you're 5'8", you got to create insane separation if you're trying to go up the seam. But so like you hit them on like a little, whip route, little crosser, whatever. Yeah. Shifty things. And you could just go to the combine and take the guy that had the fastest 3-cone time, put him in the slot, and he would eat. And yes, those players, Danny Amendola, Danny went out to the Z a lot, but the game's changed. But like the Wes Welkers of the world, these little guys that played in the slot, they were only slot receivers. And there's still a couple of them in the league. It's not completely obsolete, but for the most part, it kind of is. And they are only slot receivers. But like Keenan Allen, even if he played 100% of his snaps only in the slot, like there's no way you can watch that player and say that he is only a slot player. Yeah. Yes, he's 6'2". Like Keenan Allen can get open on the outside. Like it's just so yeah. I mean, that was just kind of the thought process behind it. Like, and look, I don't think it matters like where it comes from. Like the Saints just need a possession receiver. He doesn't have to be 6'6". He doesn't have to be like he just needs to be somebody that can make tough catches and possess the football. And that's really what I feel like they need right now. So it wasn't really about Keenan Allen. Like somebody we had talked about it on the last show, and I don't know who. It might have been you. I don't know who it was.
Yeah,
it wasn't you, but like I don't know who it was. But it's like somebody said something to me. He's like, where would he fit in? I'm like, you just put him on the field. Like, what are you talking about? Where does he fit in?
Put him out there. Yeah, put him out there. Tell him to put his hands up. That's what it is.
Like if you gave Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier Keenan Allen and they couldn't figure out how to use him, but like, look, furthermore, I don't really feel like the Saints have a guy that even plays in that position. Like it's not Chris Olave. Chris Olave's mostly been on the outside. It's the biggest problem with Brennan. Yeah, but like Olave can move inside. I just don't think like it's just not like even if Wes Welker dropped from the sky and worked in today's game, like there is a clear spot for him to fit in. Yeah. Brandon Cooks has been the weirdest player in. It was baffling to me when he first got here because you would watch him at Oregon State and like he would return the ball. It looked like there was like all kinds of like shiftiness, but like he got to the league and it turned out he was like really more of a straight line, like mechanical type route runner and like that kind of like movement skill on the inside just really wasn't what it was supposed to be. Now, granted, I think there's ways that you could scheme him up to get open from the slot, and I expect him to play in the slot some, but he's played like for a player of his size, stature, you just pulled up the draft profile that they have on NFL.com. It shows all the combine stuff and that. You would look at it and you'd be like, oh, this guy would like probably be pretty good on the inside. No, it's just not. But look,
get him out there.
The bigger point is like I don't think that exists anymore. Like the game has just changed. Like people are specialized in covering the slot now, so it's just kind of like, can you play receiver? And you aren't dropping anyone anywhere for that many snaps. Smith-Njigba played like 70% in the slot last year, but like I think that's more about now that DK's gone. I bet he plays more on the outside. He'll play more on the outside because Kubiak doesn't play 11 personnel as much as they did. So
and then they got Kupp up there too.
Yeah, so he's gonna. It's just like you don't put. It's not like we're playing the Chargers. They're going to put Keenan Allen in the slot. Here's our coverage for him. It's going to work for all 65 snaps of the game. Like people have to move around. Like, okay, Mike Evans is going to play on the outside, but like he's also going to go on the inside a little bit. Justin Jefferson plays on the outside. He's going to play 26% of his snaps on the inside almost every single game. So you have to have a plan for that. And then when he goes in there, how do you cover him? It's not like, back in the day, it was just like, here's the X, here's the Z, here's the slot. They're going to play those snaps every single time, and it's going to work. And then it's just like the defenses were like, wait a minute, like we can't have a linebacker on this guy. Like people need to get better at these things. And like the game, it evolves and it shifts.
Yeah, the game is definitely evolved. No question about it. So definitely excited to see how they, add or reconfigure pieces that they already have. Because Bub Means is 6'2". I saw yesterday a comparison between him and AJ.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's a lot of guys that are the same height, weight,
measurement
speed.
wise.
There's a lot of people that are the same that aren't the same. Look, Bub. I have high hopes for Bub, but like putting that on him is great. Like that's not even fair to him. Like I've seen it all over. No, I've seen it all over.
I wasn't even trying to stamp him as, oh, you could be that. No. Just because you got a Chrysler 300 and a Phantom don't mean it's the same thing. They both cars. They both got the same type of bodies, but it's not the same thing. But I was just saying, in terms of the measurements, in terms of pin holding people in the spots, that's not the case anymore. The measurements can be what they are, but their skill on the field could be something completely different. That'll do it for this edition of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for stopping in. Catch you next time.